Radio.
بدارين الساعة دارين السلام ودارين التنمية ودارين الخدمات الصحية بس دي ما دارين كلام كل سلام بيكون كويس كل كلام بتاع الاقتصاد بيكون كويس بس ما في أكثر من كده كلام وزير المالية ده كلام غلط ما يقول كنت متعجل سنة قبل كده عملوا المؤتمر مرور فوق ساكت ثاني جاء مولتاني مؤتمر مرور فوق ساكت ثاني جاء منو دي ما دارين كلام غلط دارين عقاي أنت أشياء جديدة ولكن دارين مرتبات سنة ودارين السوق ينزل ودارين أي حاجة بكل كويس ودارين كلام دي ما دارين كتابات مدور فعلا دي عملت دي هذا كلام بتاعنا لكن لنا في كشاف دارين واحدة.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Good afternoon, welcome to iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. Minister of Information Michael Makwelweth has dismissed a UN report alleging widespread corruption of the country's oil revenues, calling it unsubstantiated and lacking credible evidence. Dr. John Grang Memorial University has graduated more than 40 students in postgraduate diploma program for the first time in the history of the institution. And the Commissioner of Juba County has issued a directive imposing new taxes on building plan approvals, service fees, rental charges, signpost permits, slaughtering fees, and other local revenues. Tune in for these stories and more coming to our news bulletin with me, Mapal. Now the news in detail. Minister of Information Michael Makwelweth has dismissed a UN report alleging widespread corruption of the country's oil revenues, calling it unsubstantiated and lacking credible evidence. On Tuesday, the UN Human Rights Commission on South Sudan claimed that more than $25 billion received from oil revenue since 2011 was looted by elites, leaving almost nothing for essential services. The report, titled Plundering a Nation, How Rampant Corruption Unleashed a Human Rights Crisis in South Sudan, was released in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. It is stated that oil revenues alone exceeded $25.2 billion, which was allegedly diverted to individuals. However, Makwe, who is also the official government spokesperson, said the report has not been officially submitted to the government of South Sudan. He rejected the report, saying it lacks real evidence to support the allegations. He further questioned the methods used by the UN Human Rights Commission to gather its information. He was speaking to iRadio in an exclusive interview.
About this, the so-called human rights organization, who claim to monitor and supervise other government and institutions at a time when I don't know who monitors them and who supervises them. I will not be responding to all these because these are reports which I believe are not substantiated and have no real evidence that support their allegation. If they have any reports, then these reports are supposed to come to the government of South Sudan. The government of South Sudan is not informed about this, and we are only getting this information in the social media, which is not correct. And we don't know who are those releasing it. It is said to be human rights of South Sudan. Human rights of South Sudan. Then why release it outside South Sudan? So we are not responding to this now until we receive the report through the rightful channel, and then we will be in a position to respond.
Dr. John Grang Memorial University has graduated more than 40 students in postgraduate diploma program for the first time in the history of the institution. According to Vice Chancellor Professor Abraham Matoj, the graduation ceremony, which took place yesterday, was presided over by Kwal Manyang Juk, Senior Presidential Advisor and Chairperson of the Dr. John Grang University Council. The graduation ceremony celebrated the accomplishments of 42 graduates comprising 5 women and 37 men. Vice Chancellor Professor Matoj spoke to iRadio in an exclusive interview.
We have graduated 42 students, among them are 5 women and 37 men. This is a graduate diploma. for the first time in history of the Uganda Moral University of Science and Technology to have implemented graduate studies in the university. This batch is the first batch of graduate studies, and it was sponsored fully by Netherlands, and IOM was the implementer in terms of releasing money and supervision and all this.
Professor Matoji states that graduation signifies both academic excellence and growth achieved at the university.
It indicates that the university is fulfilling its objectives, and it means also that the university is improving to the standard level required in the world universally. The university must have graduate studies, because graduate studies is the institution of research, and we need to produce researchers. And it is the step towards specializing the scientists in their own specialties. So it means a lot, and in academic, it means an academic excellence, an academic improvement.
According to the Vice-Chancellor, the postgraduate program was carried out in partnership with the International Organization for Migration, with funding from Kingdom of the Netherlands. Dr. John Grang Memorial University of Science and Technology, located in Bor, Jonglei State, is one of the 5 public universities in the country. The university has remained closed for lectures since the beginning of the year due to insufficient supply of food for students' meals. You're listening to iRadio News. The Commissioner of Juba County has issued a directive imposing new taxes on building plan approvals, service fees, rental charges, signpost permits, slaughtering fees, and other local revenues. In the order issued yesterday and seen by iRadio, Commissioner Emmanuel Tete Esbon said the directive sets a guidelines for collecting revenues within Juba County. He stated that the order will be enforced in Juba County and its payams based on the 2024-2025 rate schedule and will take effect from 22nd September 2025. The directive also covers royalties and town rates for companies, warehouses, factories, communication antennas, and shops. It also includes charges on change of purpose and transfer of ownership, permits for commercial vehicles operating in Juba County, stickers, trading licenses, and other fees authorized by the law. The Commissioner tasked the Executive Director, PAYAM Directors, the business community, security organs, and the public to ensure full implementation of the order. According to Tete, the measure is intended to strengthen revenue mobilization to improve service delivery and development in Juba County. Elsewhere, Human Rights Watch is calling on the government to ensure due process for first Vice President Dr. Riek Machar and other opposition members facing serious charges. Nyagoa Tutpur, a researcher with the African Division of Human Rights Watch, says the detainees should receive prompt, fair, and public trials that meet international standards or to be released unconditionally if due process is not granted. He spoke to iRadio yesterday.
We have released a statement calling on South Sudan to ensure that Dr. Riek Machar and other opposition members and affiliates facing charges that were announced by the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs last week, that they are guaranteed a prompt, fair, and public trials that will meet international standards. And if the government cannot guarantee due process and fair trials, then the detainees should be released unconditionally. Our concerns are that the government has held detainees for 6 months without any legal basis. They held them incommunicado, meaning that they did not have access to lawyers and families until last week.
The rights group urged the government to allow detainees unrestricted and private access to their legal representatives. Machar was placed under house arrest on March 26, 2025, following arrest of at least 24 political and military members of his party, the South Sudan People's Liberation Army in opposition, SPLA-IO, led by the National Security Service and military intelligence. On September 11, the Minister of Justice announced that 21 individuals, including Machar, were charged with serious crimes such as murder, treason, and crimes against humanity. Machar's house arrest followed weeks of violence between government forces and armed youth known as the White Army in Nasir, Upper Nile State, Machar's stronghold. The mayor of Nimule municipality in eastern Equatorial State says more than 400 members of local gang groups have voluntarily surrendered their weapons and proclaimed their rejection of violence. Mayor Caesar Longi Fuli said the gangs handed machetes and knives to the authorities. The weapons were handed in a ceremony attended by police, religious leaders, the army, and other stakeholders.
The children who have reported are 418 in number yesterday. And they came surely with their parents and they went. But among them, about 28 or 29, I can't recall it. They came without, but of course of their friends, they moved to their friends' home. Nevertheless, that's not enough. My challenge now here as the mayor of Nimule municipality is, how am I sure that these people are not going to go back to their former activities of their cult behavior? What will I do to help these people? However, my governor, His Excellency Luis Babongo Jore, the governor of Eastern Equatorial State, amicably, because these things have been concurrently happening even in Turi, in the other side of other part of the state, he actually decided to develop a document which is called Conflict, Violence, and Reduction.
Mayor Fuli called on parents and guardians to prioritize and safeguard the well-being of their children.
My advice to parents like me is that let us really look into our children. We should. I know it is hard to, meet the demand of the children, but at least when a child says something, you try. Even if it's not there, have a good language to say, my son, my daughter is not there. Because these are people, you find that group, there are ladies and even boys. So you need to have this. I know the economic crisis is there, but there is nothing in this world which is permanent. I'm sure our country is working day and night to fix this economic crisis to come into stability such that tomorrow we have a better South Sudan.
Meanwhile, a civil society activist has welcomed the decision by Nimule gang groups to voluntarily surrender their weapons, urging them to embrace a new life and contribute positively to society. Edmund Yakani, who heads the Community Empowerment for Progress organization, said local authorities should support the group to help them reintegrate as responsible members of the community. Yakani's remarks come after the mayor of Nimule municipality in eastern Equatorial State announced that over 400 members from different gang groups voluntarily handed in their weapons and publicly rejected violence. He said it is high time for young people to choose a lifestyle that is not criminal or violent. He spoke in an exclusive interview with iRadio this morning.
I would like to take this opportunity to highly appreciate over 400 members of youth gang group in Nimule municipality of Eastern Equatoria State who voluntarily have surrendered their weapons to Nimule municipality authority. This is a positive response from the 400 members of youth gang groups in Nimule to our call that we made 2 days ago for youth to opt to live a life that is less criminal and not violent. It is a high time for young people to choose a lifestyle that is not criminal in nature, that is not violent in nature. So we appreciate these 400 members of youth gang groups in Nimule that have abandoned the culture of gang grouping where it leads to violence and commitment of criminal acts. We appreciate that.
Yakani also promised the youth who surrendered their weapons that he would work with municipal authorities to establish a system for supporting them. He urged the youth to return to gang activity, not to return to gang activity, stressing the need to set an example for others.
As a Community Empowerment for Progress organization, SEPO, our response to you is that we will approach the authorities of Nimule municipality for us to design a strategy on how to work together with this number of the members of gang groups that voluntarily have surrendered their weapons to Nimule municipality. My appeal to the 400 members of the youth gang groups that have surrendered their weapons to Nimule municipality to take this as a responsibility, because we have seen a similar act in the past around Juba, in Gumba, and other parts of the country. But at the end of the day, same group of the youth that have taken a positive move have returned back to the violent and criminal gang life. Therefore, we are appealing for this number of 400 members of youth gang groups in Nimule to take it as a responsibility and to set it as a model. And we will try to use their case study as a model to make sure that other colleagues of theirs who are still engaged in the youth gang criminal and violent exercise will learn from them.
You are listening to iRadio News, and now to the regional and international stories brought to you by Prestige Millers Company Limited. Here is Madrama James.
Gunmen on motorbikes have shot dead 22 people, most of them attending a baptism ceremony in an attack on a village in western Niger, report says. A resident told the French news agency AFP that 15 people were killed at the ceremony in Tillaberi region, which borders Mali and Burkina Faso, before moving elsewhere and killing 7 others. While people celebrated a baptism ceremony, gunmen opened fire, sowing death and terror, local civil rights activist Maikula Zondi said on social media. Niger military government has struggled to contain jihadist violence in the region carried out by groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. Elsewhere, the man accused of fatally shooting Chalika confessed to killing the right-wing activist in a message to his roommate. Prosecutors have alleged as they announced 7 charges against him. Taylor Robinson, 22, left a note and a keyboard for his roommate to discover, said Arthur County Anthony Jeffrey Gary. He added that the roommate was the defendant's romantic partner. According to Mr. Gary, the note said, "I had the opportunity to take away Charlie Kak, and I am going to take it." The prosecutor also shared text messages between the roommates, including one in which the defendants allegedly said he shot Kak because he had enough of his hatred. And finally, the Prime Minister suspected in the high-profile case of Madeleine Kahn's disappearance has been released from prison in Germany, where he has been serving a sentence for unrelated offense. Pristar was driven out in a black Audi by his lawyer with a police escort shortly after 9 a.m. local time, 7 p.m. GMT. Prison wasn't visible in the car, but police confirmed he left Shindi prison. He had been convicted of raping a 72-year-old American woman in Portugal in 2005, and he will be fitted with an ankle tag after his release from the prison near the northern city of Hanover. The German national 48 has never been charged with any crime in relation to the MC Khan case. He denies any involvement.
Vote of thanks, Madrama James, for the regional and international stories. Up next is sports with Deco D. Andrew.
And in the sport news, in the opening week of the South Sudan Premier League, Juba National Stadium hosted an electrifying Bahar Ghazal derby yesterday, where Wajam Will trashed their rivals Salamawil with a restoring 5-1 victory. His star forward, Akota Court, stole the spotlight, scoring an impressive 4 goals super hat-trick to claim the Man of the Match award and secure Wajam first 3 crucial points of the season. In another encounter, Malakia Juba staged a dramatic comeback to defeat Hilal Wow 3-2. Hilal had finished the first half leading 2-0, but Malakia roared back in the second half with a 3 unanswered goal to snatch all 3 points in a thrilling finishing. UEFA Champions League, Gabriel Martinelli and Leonardo Torstedt came off the bench to secure as Arsenal beat Spanish side Athletic Club to get the Champions League campaign over to a winning start. In another match, Kylian Mbappe scored 2 penalties as a 10-man Real Madrid battled to victory over Marseille in the Champions League opener. Thomas Frank enjoyed the winning Champions League debut as a Clement 4th minute mistake by Villarreal goalkeeper Luis Junior sealed a narrow victory for Tottenham. An Englishman, Leo Kelly, needed an early equalizer in 6 minutes of an added time to salvage to draw for Juventus after a thrilling 8-goal second half at home to Dortmund. Faith Kambio stormed a historical fourth wall 1,500-meter title as the Kenyan greatest extended her streak of dominions with the 5th consecutive global gold in the event. The 31-year-old much retired men's world record holder Hashim Al-Gorashi as the only other athlete in history to amaze for 1,500-meter title at the championships after securing her 3rd consecutive Olympic trophy last year. This was also a 3rd straight world gold for Chambioka, who controlled the final from the start before busting clear for her rival to the final lap. Not only is the world record holder unbeaten in the past 5 global finals, but excluding hits, she has not suffered defeat over the distance for more than 4 years. For iRadio, I was Dikode Andrew. Thank you for listening.
And here brings us to the end of our stories this afternoon. But first, let's have a quick recap of our top stories once again. Minister of Information Michael Makwelwe has dismissed a UN report alleging widespread corruption of the country's oil revenues, calling it unsubstantiated and lacking credible evidence. Dr. John Grant Memorial University has graduated more than 40 students in postgraduate diploma program for the first time in the history of the institution. And finally, the Commissioner of Juba County has issued a directive imposing new taxes on building plan approvals, service fees, rental charges, signed post permits, slaughtering fees, and other local revenues. That is the end of iRadio News. If there is a story or an event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iRadio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at 1/2 past the hour. I am Mapal. Thank you for listening.